The other day, I did fruits of the flesh and I did the spiritual effects of fruits of the flesh, how they physically and spiritually affect our bodies. Today, I'm going to do the fruits of the spirit. So hopefully this won't take 30 minutes. All right. So the first fruit of the spirit we got is peace. Peace affects your body. When you operate in peace, these are the benefits, because there is no negative side effects of any of these. These are the fruits of the spirit. These are the spirits from heaven. So there's no negative anything. All right, so we got reduced stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, promotes relaxation, boosts your cardiovascular health, which is your heart system, all that right here. Lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, so you sleep better when you're at peace. It strengthens immune system, so you're generally more healthy. Your body is more able to fight against viruses and illnesses, all because you have peace. Improve mental clarity, so you got some sense. You ain't walking around here foolish. You got a little sense about yourself. You got improved mental clarity up here, okay? And energy levels. And it oftentimes results in a positive ripple effect. So a lot of times when you walk into a room, you know how Yahusha said when you told the disciples when they go into a room, you should say, peace be unto this room, right? Well, when you carrying that peace with you anyway, and you walk into a room, let's say you walk into a room and it's just chaos. And I've done this before. Walked into a room in the middle of an argument, straight chaos. And I just walked in and ignored everything going on. Start cleaning up, washing dishes, sweeping. And just like that, the enemy fled. He left. The person in the argument, causing the argument, literally just left. Didn't even say anything. Just got up and left. Could not withstand my spirit. They just left. Thank God. Okay, so a positive ripple effect. So hopefully when he left, he went and he was peaceful with his household. But I'm not sure, but hopefully. But positive ripple effect. When you're peaceful with other people, generally people are like sheep, right? So when you're peaceful, when whatever you do, generally you're going to set the tone, or somebody is going to set the tone for the mood of that area or whatever's going on. If you got people fussing and fighting, typically it's going to be somebody else over here finna fuss and fight. It's going to be somebody else over here mad. Love immediately, you get immediate physical reactions from love. You have long-term health benefits. Y'all ever wondered how them people could be so old and they just still be alive? It's because their children is loving them. They have loving people around them. My grandmother died last year. She died in October, I think. She was 102 years old. She probably could have lasted longer. Okay, she was the oldest in our family. And that lady lived because I truly believe her daughter loved her so much. That's why she lasted as long as she did. Love will give you a long life. It triggers hormones like dopamine and oxytocin, it promotes bonding. It reduces stress, strengthens your immune system also, and love alleviates pain. Love is a natural painkiller. So we out here trying to take Advil and Tylenol and all this other stuff when all we have to do is be loved on. Listen, I hope y'all listening, husbands and wives. When it's that time of the month, husbands, all you have to do is love on your wife. Wives, when your husband's going through something and they just so sick they can't get off the couch, all you have to do is love that man through it. Let's see. It decreases negative emotions and judgment. So it decreases negative emotions and negative judgments. You have a faster physical healing rate. So if you are harmed in any way, the more love you have, the more love you're surrounded by, you typically will heal faster. And you have lower blood pressure. Like, who don't want to be loved? It's joy, which releases feel-good chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, serotonin. All these things reduce stress. They lower blood pressure and boost immune functions. There we go again, boosting our immunity. Anyway, improves cardiovascular health. It triggers calmness, reduces chronic pain. So being happy can reduce your pain level. Think about that. It gives you a warm feeling, increased heart rate sometimes, which is not a bad thing at times. It enhances your mood, and it enhances the moods of people around you. I've never heard anybody say, I can't stand being around her. She's just so happy all the time. Never heard that. Oh, I just can't stand being around that brother. He smiled too much. He always praising the Lord. Okay. It focuses, and increases your focus, increases oxygen to the brain, and it increases your life expectancy. Like, okay, so far we got peace, love, joy. Like, okay, I'm here for these fruits of the spirit, which is a powerful calming agent on the body. It actively reduces stress. It improves your physical health. It lowers your blood pressure, boosting immunity. It alleviates stress and related ailments like headaches, acne, your GI, your gastrointestinal tract. It alleviates ailments in those areas. So people who have patience typically don't have as many headaches as people who don't have patience. They don't typically have a bunch of breakouts on their face because they're calm, they cool. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that they're not bothered. That don't mean that something that happened didn't frustrate them. That just mean that they handled it well. They were in control. They were patient with it. So therefore, they ain't got all these stress bumps popping up and all this anger coming out their pores. And, they don't have that. Praise the Lord. It says it reduces feelings of irritation and anger, and it reduces heart disease. It increases your white blood cells, which we just seen. It boosts your immunity. So of course it increases white blood cells. Your white blood cells is what literally fights for you. It lowers anxiety, improves sleep, allows for relaxation. I said the headaches already, and the acne flare-ups and ulcers. It reduces tension. Physical irritability. Imagine not being irritable because you have patience. It relaxes your complete nervous system. We need that patience, y'all. That's one thing I strive to do is have patience. Goodness, kindness, and gentleness all in one. Because they're pretty much the same thing. So I just did them all in one. All right. So all three of these trigger positive physical changes. They release oxytocin, lower blood pressure, reduces inflammation. It strengthens your heart health, boosts serotonin and dopamine. Boost serotonin and dopamine for an improved mood and energy. Reduces stress. I don't know if I said that one already. Let's see. And stimulates endorphins, acting as a natural pain reliever. So being good and being kind and being gentle to somebody can relieve your pain. Let's see, it releases oxytocin, which causes the release of nitric oxide in your blood. Vessels expand and reduce blood pressure. All from just being good to people. You get all these benefits from being good, kind, and gentle. Speaking gently, speaking kind words and good words. It helps maintain your weight management, which slows down your aging. Let's see. What is that word? I don't know. It increases your energy. Decreases anxiety. It's consistent kindness and compassion will lead to a longer life, a healthier life, and stronger social bonds. Who would have thought that a kind person would be a good friend? Who would have thought that would be the person that you can count on? People who witness kindness often have a trigger a ripple effect as well. So you do something nice for somebody trip and fall in front of you, you help them up. Typically, somebody will witness that, and throughout the day, they'll also do something kind in general. You ever seen like at a fast food restaurant where a person will pay for the food for the car behind them, and then that person will get up to the window and they'll be like, oh yeah, that person in front of you paid for your food, and you're like, oh, well, let me pay for their food. And it's like just a ripple effect of just goodness. Listen to this one. Okay, it reduces the risk of diabetes. Maybe that's what I meant to say. Reduces the risk of diabetes. But you are more likely to be satisfied when you possess kindness, goodness, and gentleness. Could you imagine? Let's say you have a woman who's never satisfied. You have a friend, you have a wife. Fellas, you have a wife. You just can't seem to satisfy her. Does that wife possess the qualities that she had? Is she a good woman? Is she a kind woman? Is she a gentle woman? Because if not, that's probably why she's not satisfied. And same thing for the husbands, sisters. Your husband is never satisfied. There's nothing that you could do to make this man happy. Nothing. Well, let's go back to the book. Is your husband a good man? First of all, is he a good man? Is he a kind man? Is he a gentle man? Because these fruits of the spirit aren't gender specific. God said this is what you need to get in that kingdom. You need these. So maybe as married couples and as parents and as children and brothers and sisters, we should learn to practice especially these fruits. Because why? Because people who have them are satisfied. They're satisfied with their life. They're satisfied with their God. They're satisfied with their well-being, with how things are going. That don't mean everything is great. It just means they're content and they're satisfied in whatever their situation is. Reduces stress. You typically lead a healthy lifestyle. People who have faith a lot of times foster community. They're in fostering communities. They have a strong immune system. People who have a strong faith-based relationship or mindset, right? It says they have 30% lower death rates. All because you have faith. You believe. Let's see. They regularly participate in faith-based communities and practices like prayer or meditation or fasting. They offer emotional stability. People who have faith, you could talk to them because they got a little sense and they're emotionally regulated. So you could come up to them and you should be able to, talk crazy. And they're like, well, hold on a minute. They're in control of themselves. They can manage illness better, which boosts longevity, which is what I said. They're hopeful. They have a sense of purpose. They're not walking around like, oh, I don't have anything to do. I have nothing to do. My life is just so bad. Pitiful, poor me. No, they have a sense of purpose. They know that they're here for a reason. They have faith. It says reduce risk of heart disease. When diagnosed with serious illnesses, they generally deal with it emotionally better. They deal with it better than a person who doesn't have faith. The person who doesn't have faith probably would, oh, I'm just going to die right now. But a person who has faith, like, okay, Lord, okay, well, let's see where this takes us, right? And typically, people who have faith tend to sometimes overcome their illness versus people who don't have faith tend to not overcome their illness. Now, does that mean because you have faith, you're going to escape the will of God for you to die at a appointed time? No, because if that's his will, then that's your will. But you'll deal with it better. And who knows, you can entreat the Lord. Remember when Isaiah went and told Hezekiah that he was going to die to get his house in order. And Hezekiah said, no. He had faith right then. He turned to that wall and started crying. And the Lord said, I said, go on back up there and tell him he got another 15 years. So, look, I bet he didn't do that for the people who didn't have no faith. Depression, anxiety reduces suicide rates. Better benefits when practices in a community than alone. So if to have faith, you generally are able to have that faith or to increase your faith when you're around like-minded people, when you're around other faithful people. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it by yourself, but it helps to have other people around you versus you just doing it on your own. I saved the best for last. All right. Self-control. That's the main one, right? That everybody loves. When you practice self-control, listen to this now. You typically limit your energy resource. You often deplete your glucose levels, and it can lead to temporary fatigue or reduced willpower. Now, I'm going to give y'all an example because that sounds kind of bad. Like, what? Everything else was good up until we got to self-control. Let me give you an example. People who practice the dietary law, right? Or people who abstain from fornication before marriage, right? Those things are tiring on your body, okay? Because your body wants to fulfill its lust, right? Fasting, that's something that your body does not want to do. It's good for your body. Your body, it says, thank you. But your flesh is like, nah, we don't need this. We need to eat and drink, and we need to go out and fornicate, and we need to eat whatever we want to eat. And, we just need to indulge. But having self-control causes these emotions where you're fatigued, you're tired, and some people, a lot of times, this is the reason why people will turn away from God, because they're tired of having to control themselves, which is a horrible reason. But this is typically the reason. I almost myself walked away from the truth because I just could not continue. I didn't think that I could continue controlling myself, but I did. And the times that I messed up, I repented. But I continued in the other fruits of the Spirit, which helped me to keep the self-control. So I continued in the patience. I continued in the faith, right? I was joyful. I was loving. I was kind and considerate and good. Like all those things, I continued in those. I didn't give up. And because I didn't give up, the Lord didn't give up on me. That having self-control is always easy because it's not always hard either. It's nothing for me to tell a man, oh, I'm married. Yeah, I am. That's super easy. It's nothing for me to do that, right? But it may be a little difficult for me to say, no, I'm not drinking tonight, sis. Gotta have that self-control. All right, so it improves your health. Having self-control reduces your risk of unhealthy habits. So people who typically have unhealthy habits, like maybe smoking, drinking, like I just said, doing things with their body that they shouldn't do. Typically you have self-control, you ain't gonna have to worry about those things because you're like, I'm not gonna do that to myself. I'm not gonna do that. It lowers your BMI, which is your body mass index with your weight. It lowers self-control lowers that, of course, because why? Because you got people who go out here and they work out every day. They have self-control. They are disciplined and they do that. It can cause mental fatigue and emotional depletion, which we talked about, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Resisting temptation is physically draining. I just said that earlier. Resisting temptation, it's a fight. The reason it's physically draining is because you are spiritually at war with the enemy. You are spiritually fighting against spiritual and physical temptations. And when you overcome that, you're tired. That's why it's draining. You're tired. Your body don't want to fight. Your body just wants to do what it want to do. Rates, people who have self-control aren't likely to be addicted. And that's not just drugs. I mean, that's food, that's porn, that's like anything, whatever people get addicted to. People who have self-control, who have discipline, they're just typically, that doesn't mean that they won't. That just means that typically they're more likely to not. Okay? Like I said, they have a higher physical fitness rate. They resist impulses better. So self-control would probably be the best fruit of the spirit that we could teach who? Our young people. Because our young people are impulsive. They are in. Think back to when you was a child, when you was 13 and 14 years old, when you was 20 years old, you were impulsive, okay? So teaching self-control at an early age, like 6, like 5, starting them off at an early age to learn how to regulate their emotions and how to discipline their flesh. Think about how good that would be for a person's life. Think about that person growing up into a man and being a husband and having children. Think about that woman. What type of wife would she be if she could control this? If she could control her mouth because she was taught how to do that from her mother when she was a little girl. If she could control her hands. If she could control her eating habits. If she could control that liberty that we get, but she doesn't use her liberty to sin. Come on now. Or psychological distress rate. People who have self-control, they have an increased satisfaction in life. I definitely can attest to this. When before I came into the truth, when I had no self-control, I didn't even know what self-control was and didn't care. I was generally, I was depressed. I was unhappy. I was unsatisfied. And probably if I could have killed myself, I probably would have, but I had so many children that I had to take care of and I was afraid to leave them behind. So, but yeah, I was so miserable. But once I came into the truth and the Lord, I realized like I was introduced to the laws and the commandments of God. People say, oh, well, we don't have to do that. That's bondage. That's so hard. Those people don't want to do it anyway. Listen to me. Those people who make a big deal of keeping the law, they already got their mind made up. They don't want to do it and they don't have to do it. So therefore, you shouldn't do it because how dare you convict me of not doing something that I should be doing, but I'm not going to do. So we're not even talking to y'all. But I'm telling you from my experience, when I found this out, and I started to seek the Most High, and I started to genuinely understand his laws, not the elders' laws, not the preacher, what the preacher telling us we got to do, or the teacher on Sabbath day saying, oh, y'all can't do this. No, when I genuinely started to seek his commandments and understand what it was I was supposed to be doing and what it was I was not supposed to be doing, my satisfaction in myself and in life increased so much. I enjoy living now. I enjoy being a mother. I enjoy being a daughter to my mother. I enjoy being a sister to my brothers and sisters in this truth. I enjoy serving. I generally have a purpose because the Lord disciplined me. Okay? Because self-control reduces chronic diseases. Thank y'all for listening. I'm so glad that was quick because I'm so thirsty. All praises to the Most High. I hope this video helped you. If y'all want to, y'all can share it with whoever. Go look at the video I posted probably 2 days ago about the fruits of the flesh, because that was really interesting how those things affect you. The fruits of the flesh and the fruits of the spirit, y'all, we serve an awesome God. We serve an amazing God. He thought of all this before he even created us, before we were even thought of, before our parents and our grandparents were even thought of. The Lord already told you how to live. He already told you don't do that, but you do need to do this. You need to stay away from that, but you need to make sure you do this. Cause this is gonna make you feel better. This is gonna take your pain away. This is gonna increase your mental capacity. This is going to make you a better wife. This is going to make you a better mother. This is going to make you a more pleasant human being. Yeah, this is what you need to do. This is going to get you in my kingdom. You want to come home? You want to come home with me? Or you want to stay outside? You want to be outside with them. You want to be outside with the bad kids, right? God is so good, y'all. All right, all praises. I love y'all.